So yeah, we are a community of people sharing our gifts and showing up generously for each other. So I wanted to invite you to take a moment to look around the room and look at all the beautiful faces and look at the beautiful building and the windows and the love that was put into this space, the love that was put into this experience. And right in this moment is an outpicturing of your own mental equivalent. Somewhere, whether consciously or unconsciously, you had a wish that your heart made that said, I would like to be in a conversation with like-minded individuals where I might be challenged, where I might be supported to know a greater good about myself. And you had such a fantastic consciousness that you were able to manifest it, not only in this beautiful community, but in this beautiful chapel, in this wonderful neighborhood, at this most perfect morning. So that's mental equivalent. That's your mental equivalent. And from this point, from knowing this truth, that you're able to manifest or demonstrate, you want to take a moment to think, what else? You know, like what else is possible if I know that I have that ability? I don't want to fall asleep to that ability. Like I'm responsible for that ability to create a world of love or fall asleep to my own power. So what else is possible? And if you begin to generate a bigger idea around what else, when you think about something good in your life, you're actually expanding your mental equivalent to hold a greater good. So what else? Well, you know, that all the seats are filled, that Marianne Williamson comes and speaks to us, that we have a house band, you know, that we have a thriving kids community, that we have a practitioner program that's moved into licensing people to really demonstrate their greater good, that we are thriving. That's what else, you know, but that's just for this one commitment here. What else in other areas of your life? You can play the what if game, and if you're not playing it, you're underestimating God's ability in you. Okay? And so today we're talking about mental equivalent. It's a great conversation. So you got lucky, because usually we just talk about boring stuff here. So basically mental equivalent was a phrase coined by Emmett Fox. If you've read any of Emmett Fox, he's a really wonderful teacher. He came about in the New Age time, which was in the 30s. Other New Thought programs came at that time. His was Divine Science, but there was also Unity came up around that time. 12-step program came up around that time. It was a time when people were thinking a little bit more outside the box and saying, you know, what about, you know, an all-inclusive God that's not outside of myself, but that's within myself, that I don't have to fear, that's not judging me. So these different philosophies began to birth during that time. And Emmett Fox was one of the way showers in bringing that information. And he used to have these amazing Sunday morning, really large gatherings under Divine Science. It was when science began to shake hands with spirituality and people became a little bit more comfortable with that. And in New York City during the Depression. So can you imagine during the Depression getting this information? It must have felt so refreshing to think, wow, I could change my mind and then I could change my world. Like, gosh. And yet still we have the same ability to do that today. So Emmett Fox is the man who coined the phrase mental equivalent. And, you know, A Course in Miracles, which is younger, it's a philosophy younger than these other New Thought philosophies, because that came into being in the 70s, teaches the same thing. You know, it says that if you want to see a different world, you can't go out there and change the world. You have to change the way you think about the world. You have to change the way you see the world so that you can experience a different world. So it's the difference between us running out there and trying to rearrange the chairs on the Titanic, you know what I mean? Not good. Or just like going down and going back to the head going like, I'm unsinkable. You know? To know I'm unsinkable in God. You know, that's the difference between, you know, doing it your way alone or doing it with a higher power and understanding that there is a law and a love that goes with you wherever you go. And we choose to call it God. But like I said last week, you can call it by any name. Just call it, you know? Like the Mother, Father, God's like, you can dress me up as Buddha, you can dress me up as Christ, you can do whatever you want, but just call me, man. So, Course in Miracles teaches that. So, we're going to go through some ideas. The first concept is that everything came from a thought in someone's mind. Everything. These chairs. Like somebody was like, oh, chairs are kind of odd. You can't stack them up. So let's create something that's foldable. The microphone. The shirt. Everything was a thought in someone's mind. The first concept, right? And this church, these chairs, these windows, all of it, first concept. And when we all are open to these concepts of God. God is so generous with all of its concepts. But so often we go no or but, as opposed to saying, yeah, I think I can do that. With God, all things are capable, possible. So there's so many concepts of God, and it's to our benefit to say yes, to the ones that really make our hearts sing. And this past week we had somebody pass away, Gene Wilder, right? And he became famous for that movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and specifically that song Pure Imagination, right? And the idea of pure imagination, the beginning of the words to that song are take a breath, make a wish, and count to 3. And that's a sweet little recipe about extending your mental equivalent. Like stop with all the mad rambling of how's it going to happen, how's it going to happen, just stop. Take a breath, right? Hold yourself. In all philosophies, it says this, be still and know God. It doesn't just say know God. The first step is be still and know God. So take a breath, hold your breath, make a wish, and then count to 3. Like hold that thought, Like I can give you these powerful thoughts and these positive affirmations, and I can help you change your mind, but you got to keep it changed. You know what I mean? And that's your job, not my job. I can't really change your mind. So to the degree that you're able to hold a better idea for yourself is the degree that you can actually activate a higher consciousness and a greater mental equivalent. So that's the concept there. If you want to see paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to, do it. You can change the world, there's nothing to it. There's nothing to it, change your mind, that's it, right? There is no place I know that compares to pure imagination. Living there you'll be free if you truly wish to be. And you're here this morning because you want to be free from all the mad ramblings, all the limited ideas. We came here so that we can hold out high watch for each other and say, like, if you can conceive it, you can believe it. And if you believe in it, you can conceive it. And that's the first concept, that you are fertile ground for God, that you are fertile ground for good. So, if we all work together, there's a couple quotes that I wanted to share with you, some great quotes from the Wright brothers, these two guys. The whole world was like, we can't fly, we're not birds, we're just not going to happen. And they're like, screw that, we're flying. We are going to get our butts off the ground in some form of flight. And they dedicated their lives to it, and people were like, you're crazy, But one of the first quotes that came up for me this morning was, if we work on assumption that what is accepted as true is really true, there will be little hope for advancement, right? Like the world's going to tell us what's true, and we have to keep questioning it. In order to live in an innovative space, which we need innovators right now, we need inventors, we need outside-the-box thinkers. In order to be there, we have to question everything. We're so scared to question because we have also been subjugated under this idea of authority. Like, who am I to question? When I gain my own spiritual authority, which I have to gain every single morning when I wake up, I continually go like, oh my God, I'm still like the kid in the back of the class that's not supposed to be a minister because I'm a girl with girl parts. I got to bust that ceiling every day. Not just once. I have to continue to bust that ceiling every single day. So know that for yourself. The Wright brothers had to bust through the idea that we were not equipped to fly. And so the other thing that I love that they're quoted for saying, it's actually Orville, the brother that I'm quoting. He said, and I saw this when I went to see the Wright brothers museum. I saw this outside the museum. And he's quoted for saying, I got more thrill out of flying before ever even being in the air at all, while lying in bed thinking about how exciting it would be to fly. So that's mental equivalent. You know, that's what's sometimes robbed from us, because we take our imagination and say, oh, that's kid stuff. You know, that's kid stuff. And for some reason, we've handed over the authority on our imagination, which is one of the most important things that we have to offer the world. You know, to imagine helps to extend God out into a greater being. You know, so if the Wright brothers didn't imagine flight, we'd all still be walking around. Today, the amazing things that's happening today, we can call up our sister or brother across the world and literally see them and talk to them in real time. I mean, it's amazing the way, you know, we want to say we're going to hell in a handbasket, but we're actually evolving into a greater good for ourselves, because there's people like the Wright brothers and there's people like you who are not settling for, you know, the same old menu. And that's the good news. But we want to continue to remind ourselves, because the ego's tricky. And another thing is, we all, you know, the blocks to that forward thinking are, well, who am I to be so brilliant, right? Well, Jacques Cousteau says, don't get to quote him often. Why, but it's my first time quoting Jacques Cousteau. But if a man, for whatever reason, has the opportunity to lead an extraordinary life, he has no right to keep it to himself. So if a man or a woman knows the recipe to greater good, like, you have no right to keep it to yourself. Like, you have to go out there and demonstrate it, and through your demonstration, you are a calling card to a greater possibility for everyone you come in contact with. Marianne Williamson's poem says that. It says, you know, it's our light, not our darkness, that most threatens us, you know? And who are we to be brilliant and beautiful and fabulous? And who are we not to be? Because our being that, consciously and unconsciously, gives other people the permission to do the same. You know, so it's not just a selfish thing that we've been sold. It's actually our responsibility to be awesome. I'm down with that. I'm so tired of being mediocre, man. Never fit into that mold. So anyway, I actually put my papers together incorrectly, so that's why I'm going like this. Like, I actually have one here and two there, and so sorry about that. But the lovely thing is that our imperfections connect us. You know, Nikita, when you forgot the words, like, we fell in love with her. You know, it's like, oh, look it's all perfect. It's so beautiful. She's so brave. You know, look at Maureeen. She's got the wrong pages. So what? You know, this is real life. You know, in Hollywood, I say all the time, in Hollywood, they gave me a script, they put makeup on me, I was well lit, I looked good all the time. We're not that, you know? You and I have no script here, you know? You're not playing my script, and I'm sure as hell not going to play your script, so we're going to bump into each other and be awkward. But awkward's beautiful. So that's the first idea, is the concept. It's available to all of us. So the evolution of thought, the desire to ask for more, is not being selfish. It's our right to the advancement of man. When I was at the Bodhi Spiritual Community down in Chicago, you know, one of the concepts that I held for that youth program, and I really held this in my heart, was that the kids in my community, the kids that were under my nose, would be as well fed as the parents who were getting served in the church under Reverend Mark Anthony Lord. And he would serve up an awesome meal every Sunday. So I knew that it was my responsibility to not leave the kids behind like they were like some stepchild of spirituality. Like, I wanted to bring it for them and really make sure that they got the tools, you know, that would support them in leading a better life. Now, I didn't do that just because I wanted to fulfill my job position. I didn't do that just because I wanted my kids to get these tools. I did that for the me that wasn't. I did that for the girl who didn't get these tools early and often, you know? And if I didn't get them, at least I could make a difference at this moment in my life. I could cause this to be an amazing opening for some other child to walk through. You remember the first time you got a mind-blowing concept and you're like, whoa! And then you're like, why didn't I know this? Why didn't anyone tell me? Well, that's because a lot of other people were like hoarding it or saying like, you know, it's not my responsibility to tell you. But it is. It's my responsibility to tell you today. It is. Jacques Cousteau said it was, so there. We are so filled with potential and possibility, each of us. You know, Will used to say to our kids all the time, you know, when they were little, you know, when you put them to bed, he would say, you have greatness within you. I was not tucked in that way. I don't know if you were either, but God, I wanted him to be my sugar daddy. Tell me, Will, tell me. I'll get in bed with the kids. You have greatness within you. You have greatness within you. If nobody's ever told you that, you need to know that. You have greatness within you. Like a pure potential of God sitting in your shoes right now. There is nothing you cannot do. God does not play specials or favorites, you know? So stop that nonsense if you're thinking that you've been left out of the equation. There's nothing holy about settling. No, nothing holy about settling, especially when we have the opportunity to rise up. And when we have breath in our lungs, we have the opportunity to rise up today. We have to fan that flame, you know, and have faith in the unseen. But if we can see it in our mind's eye, that's the beginning, that's the concept. If we're given an idea, like you were saying, Raven, the idea of you being a writer, you know, you got to hold that vision for yourself and continue to do what a writer does and show up to that. And that's why you're able to demonstrate, because you've held that concept in your mind and you've said yes to it. And you bring it to a community that's like, yeah, girl, we see that for you. You know, you don't bring it to your sideways, broken artist friend who's like, oh God, good luck. There's so many writers in the world. Just don't do that. You know, little Charlie from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Oh, how many people related to that kid? He lived in this shitty house with these grandparents all stuffed in the bed together, and his grandpa was like, Charlie, you can do this. And his mom was like, don't get his hopes up. And he was like, Mom, I have just as much chance as anyone. And his mom was like, oh, God. They're going to kill him out there. That's what your tribe will think for you. They'll think, don't go out there, Aunt Raven. They're going to crush you. You know, you got that dyslexia thing, and you've never been a good speller. Like, just stay safe with Grandma and Grandpa in the bed. So, how brave of us all to come up and wake up and get out and move past with that fearless, faith of little Charlie. I don't know his last name. Charlie Bucket. I think it was Charlie Bucket. Yeah. Little Charlie Bucket, who was like, I'm going to go for that golden ticket. He had a mental equivalent for it. So, it's beautiful, a beautiful mental equivalent for it. I have just as much chance as anyone. The ego will tell you, you're too short, you're too tall, you're too black, you're too white, you're too, smart, you're too dumb, you're too something, you're too something. But the Holy Spirit will always say, you're just right. It's like the little Goldilocks, you're just right. And you have just as much chance as anyone. Picasso lives within you. The Wright brothers live within you. Martha Stewart, if that's your gig, lives within you. I don't know. Not for me. No, not for me. Anyhow, but, if I wanted to be, I could access that. So that's the concept, and then energy comes after the concept. We got to get the concept. We have to say yes to the concept, and in saying yes to the concept, we meet the concept with energy, and that energy is that fire in the belly. When I was going through practitioner training, that's not something you can really teach somebody, but you can teach them to remove the blocks to the fire in the belly. The blocks to the fire in the belly are fear. All the fears. So, this is why we have to work on forgiveness and fearlessness. Those two F words that I also like, along with my other F words. And the way we say yes to it is that we just really receive it. Like we sit quietly and we entertain thoughts about it. We imagine it. And we get consistent with it. We really dedicate ourselves to it, to the outcome, to the persistence of it. And to wishing it, to wishing it means like there's a difference between wish and want. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. So for me, want is a dirty word. Like I'm not about it. But wish, there's like something in it, even energetically. Wish. This is your heart whispering to you. And the difference between want and wish is that want says to God, I want this. Get on it, and it has to look like this, blah, 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 blah. A wish says, oh, it connects with the feeling. Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful to go into Willy Wonka's chocolate factory? I don't even know what it'll look like, but I'm just going to throw that wish out into the world because my heart really does desire that. And I don't have to know how it happens. I just have to hold the mental equivalent of that experience, the fire in the belly of experiencing it. So don't just think about the things that you want. Drop them into your feelings, because it's the clarity of your thought meeting with the feeling that will outpicture your greater good. I swear I will let you talk today, but I do have a lot to say, so I'm still talking. All right, this is a big lesson. Fire. And of course I have my pages wrong, so let's see. Hold on one second. Yep. So, Emmett Fox is all about the demonstration of these two poles that I just talked about, the thought and the fire, the clarity of thought and the warmth of feeling, the warmth of feeling. 99% of people do not demonstrate their greater good because of the lack of feeling. Like, it goes into the brain, and then it starts to move down to the heart, and it's like, no, I'm not ready. You know, like, I could get my heart broken. So the feeling, we have to just go, you know, it's worth the risk. Like, the risk has to be better than the fear of getting hurt. We speak our affirmations like dead people. And we have to wake up and be like, no, I am awesome. You know what I mean? I am going to demonstrate this. I am fired up about this community. This is mine to do, you know? I want to get codependent and be like, could you help? Could you do? Could you stand? I don't know how to do it. But I gotta come and say, yeah, no, I know what to do, because I am on the authority of God who loves me. And if I don't know what to do, I can always go back to my source and say, now what? Yeah. And you know, God usually has us on a need-to-know basis anyhow, because if God tells, oh, you're going to Disneyland, I'd just be thinking about Disneyland. I wouldn't be thinking about being right here. You know, like little kids, like just Sunday, go to church and do well, do your best. That's it. So is that it, really? I don't see how you're going to move this mountain with that little thing, God, but whatever, I'll trust you. So if it fires together, it wires together. And this is what the advertisement companies know. When I was in advertising in Hollywood for a long time, if it fires together, it wires together. And the fire is the feeling. So if you're watching a Bud Light commercial and you see a sexy woman, if you're into sexy women, drinking a beer, you're going to have a fire of emotion, and you're going to equate it with that alcohol. Isn't that beautiful? So that's how we go, oh my God, I need to smell better. I need to look better. All of these advertisements are using things that fire emotion in us to cause us to want to go and get that thing. So it's the same thing with our manifestations and demonstrations. We have to remember to fire it up. You know, to fire up the feeling nature within us. Because when you fire it together, it wires together in your brain. And some of us have to kind of rewire some of that old wiring. Like your mom might have said, like, you can't go do that, you can't do that. And you were sad about it, and so you cried about it, and you held that against her for so long, and then you began to say, that's the road that I go down. It's kind of this very limited road because it's been fired up. And so you have to forgive your mom for saying what she didn't know. She came and did the best that she could, and now you got to jump track and cause another road in your brain to move forward that says, yes, I can. And fire that up, and you move that through into consciousness, into demonstration. But we don't want to do it through dominance, like I want this. We want to do it through dedication, devotion, which is so soft, you know, and it just kind of really relaxes into God. You know, we pay attention and we devote and we allow and we flow and we don't grab and we don't command. You know, and it's not that we don't show up and do our work, but my God has no investment in my stress or struggle. I was doing it wrong last year when I came to this church, and as Will was saying, like I was doing the bulletins and I was setting up the food and I was doing everything that, you know, that I thought I was supposed to do, because I had an investment in struggle. And I had to get some healing around that, and as soon as I got healing around that, you know, other people were like, hey, let me do what I do really well. And that's the same for you. Like, God doesn't have an investment in your struggle for you as a writer, you know, for you as a new mom. Like, you're so surrounded by an army of angels as we allow ourselves to rest in each other. And that's community. That's healthy community. You know, when somebody knows your story about putting a piano above a couch, you know, that's knowing you. That's being known. That's belonging. That supports us in being like, oh, I'm not the crazy person without the couch. Yeah. No, I make sense somewhere. You know, but you got to find that tribe. And part of it is the end part of demonstration is focus. to focus on this thing, to not get spiritual ADHD. It didn't show up yet. I'm out, God. Forget it. You know what I mean? Like, we do that. You're like, come on, it didn't show up. I guess I missed the train. This is never going to happen for me. And a lot of people could say that about being a writer, you know what I mean? Being anything, being a midwife. It's like, I only have 20 years left. I'm not going to get my license for a midwife. It's too late. Forget that. It's never too late. We've been shown demonstration after demonstration after demonstration of people who rise up, 80, 90, 100-year-olds old, who are doing so much more than some of the teenagers around here. Not to be great teenagers, because they're doing a lot too. We have a woman who's coming to us who's going to do a really great program for our teenagers. She's going to come and speak to that eventually, but so that's a good thing that's happening here. So stay consistent. Stay consistent even when I'm not around to whisper in your ear about your greatness. Stay consistent with yourself through using your own affirmations. There are many ways to strengthen the consciousness of expanding your mental equivalent. And one of those ways is gratitude. Activating an optimistic, dare I say even foolish, outlook on the world. I shared something on our Facebook page, and if you're not on our Facebook page, go to YouTube, Maureeen Muldoon, like more please. And basically, it's a tool for gratitude. Like when you find yourself in an awesome place, present yourself, like really plant yourself down. I used to do this when I was on the set in Hollywood. If I got a great job, finally got a really great job that I really wanted, I would take a moment and really anchor myself in that moment. I would look around 365 degrees. I would look around at everyone doing everything, all the people running around. I would take a breath and I would say, thank you, God. Yes, you got it right. So often we tell God that, God got it wrong. So thank you, God. You totally got it right. That's exactly what my heart was whispering to you. And then say, more, please. Like I can take more. I'm all about Oliver Twist, God is infinite, So more, please. You can watch that video, or if you're watching this video, you can go watch that video. So the optimistic attitude is to imagine that things could be greater, that things could be even better, to seek and expand your good, not from a place of greed, but from a place of joy, from a place of generosity, from the commitment to being an example that God is good. A poor man can't help too many people, So be like that Charlie Wonka, awaken that conviction that things work out in your favor, to expect greater good, to search for the lessons and the blessings and the silver linings regardless of the conditions. Relax into it and let God do the heavy lifting for you. And don't strain or struggle or stress. Rewire yourself for ease and grace. And be definite, but not specific. Be definite, but not specific. Be definite about your greatest outcome. But then like God, you are a wish that God made. You are a wish from God's heart, And so just know that you are supported by that kind of love. And it's miraculous and immense. So there's no way we could know, the whole picture. And it's better that we don't. But to acquire a trust in it, that we're going to land on fertile ground and do great things in the world. So seek to experience things outside of your own mental equivalent, which means if you have a thrift shop mentality and a backyard sale mentality, like get your butt into Neiman Marcus and even just buy one thing, but feel yourself walking up to the counter and taking out your cash and I can afford this piece of gum. No one's used it before, it's mine. I'm building my mental equivalent, you know what I mean? Go drive around in that Jaguar, which I heard you do one day. You know what I mean? Like expand your mental equivalent. If you don't know that it's available, if you don't actually activate the feeling nature of being in a greater equivalent of consciousness, you're never going to be able to really own it for yourself. And the first step is to just take a little ride around in that bigger consciousness. Say yes and to it. Driving through Hinsdale, you know what I mean? If God doesn't play favorites, all of that's available to you too. Develop the mental equivalent for prosperity, imagine that. Don't rush. That shows God that there's not enough time, or that you have a belief in not enough time. Don't rush. It will shatter your clarity as well. Appreciate everyone and everything. People are hungry for your appreciation. This is what Mother Teresa says, that people are starving for your appreciation more than they're starving for bread. And you can take the time to give appreciation, and that appreciation returns to you. Now, don't do it so you can get more back, but do it because you know that you're feeding a greater story in the world, and you can do that. Order in the court is the next little thing. Just clean your house. Like basically, like keep your shit clean. And that means unforgiveness too. Like don't come to God with a knife in your brother's back. Don't come to God and pray for your good and don't pray for everyone else's good. Pray for everyone's greater good. One last thing is a spiritual high five. Like think about 5 people in your life that probably could use a phone call from you, and or a affirmation or a kind word, and go give that to them. If you do that, you'll be cultivating a tribe around you of people who are also going to return that to you. That's the law. You know, it's done unto you as you believe, and what you give out returns to you multiplied abundantly. So, it's your duty to express God to the utmost of your power, and you have no right to relinquish your efforts until you have accomplished this. That's from Emmett Fox. So I'm going to repeat that one more time, and then we're going to open it up for conversation. It is your duty to express the utmost of your power, and you have no right to relinquish your efforts until you have accomplished that. So imagine if the Wright brothers had given up. You know, imagine if Rosa Parks had given up. You know, imagine if all of these amazing people who have moved us forward through their conviction had given up. Imagine who lives within your bones. Don't let that child down. You know, she still has dreams to manifest, to demonstrate, and we need them. We all need them. Thank you for letting me be of service. So what do you think? I would love to hear from you. Leave a comment below, or you can go ahead and sign up for our newsletter at SpeakEasySpiritualCommunity.com so we can keep the conversation going. Because SpeakEasy is all about engaging in engaging conversations. Everything is better when we all share our voice. I'm Maureeen Muldoon, your Spiritual Vixen, reminding you to love more and fear less, and don't forget to laugh. What do you say?